I don't know why every time I think about the possibility of this episode, I'm literally thinking about don't go chasing waterfalls, okay? Because that water was getting to splashing in this episode, and it has me wondering about the future of Keke on this particular show, okay? Um, listen, my general sense is based on what we saw in this episode. I am wondering how not Maurice, but really Marsau and Latisha will want to, like, will they film around her ever again? That is my question after this particular incident. Let me know in the chatterization what you guys think. I think Mel will probably film with her, but outside of Mel, and perhaps maybe Stormy, because as we'll talk about, there's a little bit of Stormy likes Keke, so that could be a possibility. But will Keke ever be around the group again outside of this coming up reunion, which we do know was filmed? That will be interesting to see, especially in a season where she's actually made her debut as a main cast member. Well, this being the second part of the season. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that in the comments down below. And because is that technically? I mean, well, throwing water at somebody, I mean, or a splash in a drink. She didn't really throw it. She kind of flipped it. Listen, I don't know. We got to get into it. Before we get all the way too deep into this, and I give you my rating, y'all, we are so blessed to have another sponsor for today's video, and let's get into that right now. Today's video is sponsored by Rocket Money. Y'all, I am trying to end the year right. I have personally been strategizing my financial plans and goals, which include preparing to purchase a new home, maintaining a great credit score, and paying off tax debt and cutting out some of these extra expenses to make the most out of my money. One of the best tools to help me do this has been Rocket Money. It's an all in one personal finance platform that helps you save more and spend less. So let me break it down for you. Rocket Money has been helping me get a better look at what I'm earning versus what I'm spending each month. And it also tracks all of my subscriptions. Using this platform, I actually discovered I have several subscriptions that I've been paying for personally that should be listed under my business. So, if you're like me and you're wanting to lower your monthly bills, cancel unwanted subscriptions, set a monthly budget, or even grow your net worth with a platform that's convenient and simple to use, download Rocket Money and unlock even more features with the premium membership option. Go to rocketmoney.com/DJRichieSkye or click the link in the description of this video. Money, 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 saving that money. Okay, so listen, I'm going to rate this episode a 10 out of 10. And let me tell you why. Because I know that if you keep your ear to the streets with Huntsville, baby, it's a lot going on during the season and off the season. Now, because I'm covering like a lot of different shows, I mean, I really have to pick and choose which ones I keep my ears to the streets on. Okay. So you guys have been chiming in the comments something about this specific thing about Stormy's business and Latisha's business, and Latisha being under Stormy. The comments have definitely gone there. And I was like, well, what are the people talking about? Because I ain't really been that engaged in the goings on of Latisha's business with with her young children. Just because I felt like it was just, I didn't know, I didn't really pay that much attention to the streets, what they were saying about this. And I was like, this now I'm putting it all together. Okay. Putting it all together. So this episode really helped me put a lot of that together. Also, it was very interesting that to see Latisha's week, in comparison to what she was telling us and how the week was going, to how we know it ended, at least in this episode. And it has to be stated that I don't think it was a good week for Latisha at all. Okay. So we're going to talk about this. And in my mind, I'm wondering, how will she process this particular episode upon seeing it, especially with regards to things being said about her marriage, things being said about her businesses, and some situations that she found herself in that could have been easily mitigated. All right, so let's get all the way down into the weeds because we're back. Oh, this episode is called Where There's Smoke, There's Marsau'. So Keke is still at the mid-city, Ponderosa, talking to Melody, excuse me, about the event. So it's Melody and Keke, and they're talking about Marsau'S alleged three-way. Okay. So I'm gonna give you guys the rundown. And this, you know what? I know that they have to do this, but I'm gonna take away, I got to take away a little minuscule point. And I got to give it a 9.9, okay? Because as we were having this conversation that we're about to have about Keke and with Keke telling Melody what was going on, they kept putting in a sound effect to cover whomever name it is. Now, I don't know for certain. I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all, I don't know. I can tell you what has been alleged in the past from what I have heard via the comment section and via the internet. But the way it was put together, it made it seem like sounding it all out, okay? Were they speaking about makeup artists? Because the way, again, I'm using my context clues and I'm asking you, were they talking about makeup artists or hairstylists or, that's the general sense that I got, or manager or publicist, because of at least they're talking about firing people. And so I'm thinking to myself, now let's process of elimination. Okay, they could be talking about management, right? That could be a case. They could also be talking about publicists, but I somehow doubt that. They could be talking about makeup artists, which seems likely because at least I would imagine that all of them use their own makeup artists, especially when they have to do confessionals or appearances or just filming for the show. So it could be hairstylists because again, I'm thinking personal services. This is what it sounds like. So I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's the question that I'm putting out there based on, again, on my context clues. So when we talk about this annoying sound effect, I understand why they did it, because really those people are not supposed to be a part of the real life experience, but it is the reality that they are all going through. Okay. So I get it. I was just annoyed and I can't help it. Okay. So here's the stilo. One of the exes of the people in the alleged three-way broke up with the girl who was, again, in the alleged three-way with Marsau', allegedly. He broke up with her because he found out about her and Marsau'. Now, Keke is thinking about taking it to Latisha. Okay, otherwise she can't live with herself. I can't live without you. I'll never go. Okay, so she can't live, okay, with herself if she don't get this information out to Tisha. Okay. Now, I don't know what I would do if I was Keke. To be honest with you, I feel like there's a part of me that just might be like, Keke, girl, keep it to yourself, okay? Because it ain't gonna do you no favors in the long run. Because in these types of instances, the messenger always gets powed, okay? It never fails. It really never fails. So it's usually best, especially if you are going to, because also too, you got to think about the reality of the reality show is when you say this on the tele, okay, when you say it on the tele, then it's broadcast for millions to see worldwide. So whether or not people think that he is in a monogamous marriage or a scandalous three-way, then I mean, it's really going to be a matter of who they believe, right? So once you introduce this notion, okay, then it really is out there at this point. Now, if this were a one and done thing, I would say laugh it off, because ultimately, if you know that you didn't do this, I have always heard you don't chase no fairy tales, okay? You don't respond to stuff like that. That's what I've always heard, okay? But when it probably gets to the point where this is a continuous thing, you might want to address it, okay, in some way, shape, or form, because the way people will feel is as though where there's smoke, there's Marsau. Hence the title of the episode. Okay. So now I'm on the sermon today, baby. I am on the pulpit. So anyway, so Keke wants to talk to her face to facial, okay? And she invites Latisha over, but Latisha never shows. So then the guy contacts, no, the guy says that he sent Latisha a message. This is the guy with the girl that was allegedly with Marsau, who broke up with the girl, okay? The guy, okay, let's call the guy Bob, okay? So Bob then calls, because I can't take all of these names. Okay, so we're gonna call the girl Gabby and the guy is Bob. Alleged, I don't know these people's names. I am assigning them a name because I cannot say random sound effect every time we talk about it. So Gabby is one of the girls who was allegedly in the three-way. I'm making up that name because I need a name because I can't do the sound effect. Bob is the man who broke up with Gabby because he found out about the alleged three-way with Marsau. Okay, follow me, and all of this is alleged, right? Anyway, so Bob said he sent Latisha a message because he wanted to let her know what's going on. Latisha then calls Keke to ask if Keke called Bob, okay, asking questions about her and Marsau. Keke says she was not seeking this information, but Latisha still thinks that Keke is moving shady, okay? So another thing that I'm going to add to this is just about everybody I can talk to, okay, in an interview or otherwise, okay, who has been on a reality TV show has mentioned likely either off camera during the interview or during the interview itself that there are people who are sending information, on other people, right? Now, I always think it is really, you have to have a certain level of discernment to figure out, is this going to be something that I take to the show, or does the cast itself have an agreement? We're going to leave that kind of stuff out of it unless the people involved start talking, right? Now, in this situation, Bob sounds involved. So it sounds like Bob is scorned, okay? And he wants the truth to get out there via Keke, okay? Because Latisha ain't picking up his calls. Allegedly. Again, I'm just going off the story from the show. And I'm breaking it down for you who may not have understood it or didn't see it and want to know what happened. Okay, that is my job. So anyway, they do another little breakdown, Melody and Keke. Apparently, Latisha allegedly wanted Keke to fire her sound effect. Okay, this is why I'm in my mind, it sounded like makeup artist, management, hairstylist, personal assistant, or publicist. Okay, personal some type of personal services industry. That's what it sounds like. So they wanted Keke to fire sound effect, but Latisha won't fire her sound effect, who is accused of messing with Marsau. So again, it sounds like the sound effect person is makeup, hair, stylist, nail tech, butler, maid, hey maid, driver, manager, publicist, cobbler, something of that sort. Okay. Anyway, but we will never know because they keep putting that sound effect over it. And y'all know we nosy. So anyway, Keke then thinks that Latisha has heard all of this before and did not fire her sound effect, okay? But want her to fire her sound effect. Anyway, I'm just going to say, instead of sound effect, personal services personnel, okay? Because it's all alleged at this point. So everything I say is alleged. I mean, reality is alleged. The life you're living is alleged. So everything is alleged. Trust and believe. It's all alleged. Don't come after me. I'm just going based on what I got here. So instead of saying sound effect, because I don't know what it is, I'm going to say personal services personnel. Okay. So Keke thinks Latisha has heard about this before and did not fire her personal service personnel who was accused of allegedly being in the three-way with Marsau. Okay. So Keke then thinks that Latisha feels that she was being disloyal because she didn't fire the personal services personnel when she found out about it. Now, what Keke's personal services personnel got to do with this, I don't know. So then Keke says she was gonna tell, okay, Latisha. She even prayed about it. Sometimes you got to pray about it, okay? So anyway, so then Latisha had the unmitigated gall not to show up to the meeting. So Latisha felt like apparently Keke still should have called her about this, but Keke really wanted to tell her facial to facial. Okay. So Mel then advises, well, sometimes people don't want to listen, and you have to be okay with that, which is totally true. Honestly, I'm at the state of mind where I am in my personal life, I want to stay out of drama. So if I hear something, I mean, it just got to be I don't know. Like I just, ooh, my peace, man, my peace, baby, my peace. Sometimes, yeah, and then sometimes, do you want to disturb somebody else's peace with some gossip? I don't know. Anyway, Keke is frustrated because she feels like she don't want Latisha to look stupid. She wants to have a ponderosa about it. Okay, Jackie Christie style. Meanwhile, Melody is like, well, why is she mad at you and not the girl that's being accused? And Keke is just tired of holding back. So she gonna throw some water on her to splash some sense into her later. Anyway, she believes that Latisha needs to face what is happening. Okay. It's not really up to you to make her face what's happening. It's really up to Latisha. Latisha is the only other person in the marriage outside of Marsau. And however she chooses to handle these types of rumors and things going on, it's how she chooses to handle them. You, as her cousin, should really you can only really be there for her in the aftermath, should anything be true or not. That is really, I feel like, the role of family in this, but that's just my opinion, okay? And what I would do, because I feel like I can't, you, what I know to be true about any relationship is you could tell a person to you blue in the face about all of these indiscretions and other things that the streets are saying, but until that person is really ready to let that relationship go, they're never going to do it. I've been in that situation before. You've been in that situation before. So we all know this to be true. So for people out there who are like, well, oh, she just don't want to leave him. Ask yourself, have you ever been in a situation where you just felt like it was you couldn't leave? Okay. Listen, it is a thing. Is it a smart thing? No, but it's a real life thing. Some people, they just got to get to that point. Well, enough is enough, like that Jennifer Lopez movie. Okay. Meanwhile, Mel asks if she thinks any of this is true. Keke then says, well, I don't believe the three-way rumor. So why are we talking about it? Then she says, but I don't know if he was messing with personal services personnel, aka sound effect, or not. Okay. So Mel says that Latisha said this circa season 1 or 2 or whatever about Mel and Martell, where there's smoke, there's fire. So Mel is now saying it, where there's smoke, there's Marcel. Hence the title of the episode. Actually, she just says where there's smoke, there's fire. I just threw back in the Marcel because it makes sense to correlate with the title. I was like, I see what y'all did there. So anyway, but hold on, there's more. This scene was so much information. Okay, so Keke says, did you see that they released the Mila and Macy hairline? And, my apologies to, Marsau and Latisha for even having to mention their children's names in the video. However, as it is the name of the business, I would like to be excused from any, personal feelings with regards to that, because it is not personal. I am simply relaying what happened in the episode, and they showed it on the episode. So here we are. Okay. So before I actually get to that part, I want to let a couple of things be known. I forgot to update, a couple of things. A couple of the things that's going on with regards to the show. All right, so I got to pull up some graphics, some visuals, and my apologies. I should have done this earlier. However, there is nothing more fun to me than having to do something while I'm already recording. So, because of that, I am going to go ahead and do it anyway. All right, two things I got to pull up. Now, the first thing being that we got to talk about a bite, because there was more to this scene. I said, what I do like about Love and Marriage Huntsville, as opposed to Basketball Wives, is that they will give a scene the meat and potatoes that it deserves, baby. You're gonna get the full entree of the scene, and whether you feel overstuffed or not, they're gonna shove it all down your throat, okay? And you're gonna choke on it. But I gotta tell you, this is one of those examples of a scene that I felt like, oh, give me more. Half the episode could have been this scene because so much was revealed, but there were other scenes that were just as fulfilling to me. Okay. So now, having said all that, we got to talk about this canvas beauty thing. So let me pull this thing up. Now, apparently, people have been sending messages to Keke asking if Latisha was partnering with under Stormy for the product line, right? Because it allegedly had Stormy's information on the shipping policy. Now, apparently, all right, you can see it right there, even though it's blurred out. I mean, what it is, what it is. And apparently it has Stormy's return policy word for word, or return shipping. I have two forms. I have this part right here, but I have another one that says shipping. So apparently Keke's like, well, if she's not under Stormy's brand, then whomever did the website did a copy and paste, and she says it's plagiarism and they can be sued for that. Now, let me say this about that. Okay, so we will later find out that Latisha used a person to build her website. It is questionable whether that person had anything to do with Stormy's new website or updated website or website version that exists today or not. What I can say is that if you build your store in Shopify, then they provide you with a sample shipping, return policy, and all that kind of stuff, and you enter in your information in terms of like where items should be shipped back to if you have a return, or who to contact if you have orders that are misplaced. So I don't know how that site was done, because I've never seen the back end, and I've never actually gone to the site. But what I can say is that it is a crying shame that the person involved who was doing the site, shame on you for copying it from there. There are so many other shipping and return policies out there that you can find that you don't actually ever need to go in to somebody else's and take theirs, right? You can simply find that via a Google search if you cannot find it otherwise, right? And even then, you need to be reading it, but also the business owner needs to read it as well, okay? And so that is why it is very difficult for me. It's not difficult, but it's also like I noticed that a lot of the business owners on here are doing a lot of things. What I can tell you from my own experience about trying to do so many things all at once is that things will fall through the cracks. So that was up to Latisha and her team, because if she has a manager, then somebody should have been reading through that material, especially if it's got the Canvas Beauty brand information right there. So you have two fails right there on the part of whoever made the site or whoever put that return or shipping policy in place. And then you have the fail of the Q&A, which is the quality assurance, which means that you're reading over your site to ensure that everything is in place for the customer experience to be seamless. Because that would not have been seamless had there been an issue and something needed to be returned and they returned it to Canvas. Okay. That's going to look kind of crazy. So Mel agrees that Latisha has garnered a name called copy and paste for doing similar things to what she has seen others done. And Mel feels like now it's Stormy's turn to get a taste of copy and paste. And she says at the end of the scene, handle your scandal. All right, so Maurice heads to Cuevas to get some work done on a Jeep that he just bought Kimmy because he wants to make her happy. And Marceau stops by. They talk about how Kimmy's cancer made him realize that they don't have all the time that they thought that they did. You would think that this would make him a lot more sensitive. But now, apparently he wanted to get her something else, but she wanted a Jeep. Holla if you hear me, because I love a Jeep. And he was like, she wanted to, something that she could take the top off and, let her hair fly in the wind. And he made a comment. I could be maybe overly sensitive about this, but he made a comment. He was like, I don't know about that because she ain't have much hair when she had the cancer. But I'm like, I don't know. It just felt a little insensitive to me. But anyway, because I'm like, she still could have been, she was still wearing the wigs and stuff like that. So the hair could still be flying. Okay. Anyway, but now that her hair is growing back, I mean, now she's worthy of this. I'm like, oh, Maurice. Anyway, so now Maurice tells Marceau, well, our intimate life has just not been the same. Marceau, like me, okay, I'm saying, why are we talking about this? We ain't talked about this since we was lying about our intimate lives at 12 years old. And Marceau is like, if I wasn't getting it like that, I wouldn't be telling nobody. Ain't gonna tell nobody, but I couldn't keep it to myself. Okay. That was Maurice. Now, Maurice is like, well, we was doing it 4 times a week. I was wearing her out. Now I can't. She cannot be my mattress no more. I got to think about how she feel. I got to think about how she doing. But I can't meet my needs. I tell you how you meet your needs, my brother. Okay, 5 fingers right here. I got, and they will take you far. Okay, if you let them. Anyway, so I had to say it because otherwise he act like that's not. He act like he don't know about it. So I had to let's break it down for real. Let's have a real conversation here. Okay. So anyway, Marcel tries to tell him, like, bro, like, most marriages, when you get into the day-to-day of the business of marriage, that is not all it's about. And sometimes you be lucky to get it twice a month, okay? Because sometimes people be tired and things are going on. And he also breaks it down even further. You sitting here wearing this back brace today because you hurt your back up at the gym or whatever you was doing. But what if I said to you, okay, that back pain is all up in your head. You know what I'm saying? But you like, well, no, my brother, my back hurts. Well, no, the pain is in your mind, friend. Okay, because that's exactly what you're doing to Kimmy. Okay, she's been through this horrific journey, and now you are being selfish because you ain't having your needs met when you can doggone well meet those needs by yourself. Okay. And if she ain't feeling up to it, why don't you make her feel sexy a little bit? Okay, how about that? Now, um, Maurice tells him, "Well, we're gonna have this cookout so I can present Kimmy with this Jeep." But how you feeling about Stormy and Peoples? And Marceau is like, I don't care about them folks. I'm gonna act like I did when I didn't know them, like I don't know them now. So anyway, over at Stormy's, apparently she had the strep throat, went to the hospital on it, that was on his way to toxic shock syndrome, was on the sepsis alert, all that kind of stuff like that. Keke, we learned, was the first person to check on her when she was sick, and she thinks that she's cool. Even though when she saw her on the Crime Stoppers, she thought that Keke looked like Darkwing Duck. Okay. Now, I had to look up Darkwing Duck for myself because I needed to know who is Darkwing Duck. Okay. Now, for those of you guys who still in the dark about who Darkwing Duck is, I'm going to pull up several files. There you have it. This is who. Oh, why? Tell me why. I okay. I'm gonna let that one go. Um, so apparently Tisha reached out to her, but Stormy hadn't had a chance to reach back. So she informs Courtney that Tisha launched a hair care business and she copied and pasted Canvas Beauty shipping policy and left the email up for Canvas Beauty. Apparently, it was all over social media with people thinking that Stormy was stealing Latisha's products. And Stormy's like, I feel embarrassed for her because it's even more embarrassing that it happened, but also that your husband was like, well, oh, I don't want to take no business advice from Stormy, but y'all taking my website copy. I mean, to quote a great media outlet, make that make sense. Okay. Um, Shout out to Mr. Make It Make Sense. Anyway, so Courtney is like, well, they could have called you for help. Stormy says, I would have gladly helped them. I love doing that. And apparently, it was up on the site for longer than it should have been. And, she feels like Latisha needs to know how to manage her own website. That's also something that I can say to be very, very true. Learning Shopify, and I don't know I don't know what their store was done in, because it could be done in Squarespace, it could be done on a whole lot of different platforms. Big Cartel, but Shopify is probably the most, I would say, well known in terms of like just being able to get in and the usability and all that kind of stuff like that. I do agree with that because it lets you know what the process is, and when something is wrong, and if somebody mentions it to you, you don't have to go to the web developer person. You can simply go into your website back in and make the modifications and changes that you need to. But again, I too also worked in IT, so I don't know. I mean, maybe that could just be in areas of specialty that I feel like I'm a bit more well versed in because I've also done it myself. I don't know. So, Stormy says, well, this is not the first time that someone has stolen something from one of her websites, so she's used to it. And I'm like, girl, who else did it? Anyway, they talk about the barbecue, but Courtney isn't going because he don't want to deal with Marsau, okay, and his mouth. Now, I'm going to say, Courtney, this is probably an event you should have made your way to, okay? I think you might have been highly amused or not. Okay, anyway, at the end of a scene, okay, we get a title card that reads this. As of the air date of this episode, no charges have been filed against Keke Jabbar in connection with the Crime Stoppers hashtag or slash Darkwing Duck segment. Okay. So I need to know what's going on with that. Did she or did she not do that? Otherwise, why would y'all put her up on the camera like that? Crime Stoppers. How did you vet this situation? Like, that's what I want to know. I don't really know much about Crime Stoppers, but so I don't know how you can legally put somebody up there if they're completely innocent. Like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Like, how can a company be that negligent if they were indeed negligent? Okay, because Keke is adamant about her innocence, but I ain't seen no retraction from Crime Stoppers either. So, anyway, but I ain't watching it on a daily basis like that. And I'm assuming if somebody has, if they had issued a retraction, one of y'all would have seen it, and it would be everywhere by now. Okay. Anyway, Latisha and Marsau link up. She's having a bad week. Okay. Apparently, people was calling around the city of Huntsville saying they were illegally gambling. So I want to know who called. Okay. And because of the Bet on Black casino night. Now, Marsau just wants to cancel the event altogether and move differently. So she starts talking about website gate and the Canvas Beauty shipping policy, and she called the web designer, and Marsau asked if it was the same designer that Stormy used. But Stormy, I will go back and say, she said in that last scene that she built her own website in the beginning or when she first started. But my question then becomes, did she use this person once it was maybe built out further in its current iteration? That I don't know. Anyway, Marsau says what I just said is that they should have caught that slip up because that was something that could have been, fixed. So she's been getting phone calls and emails, and they just talk it up to the haters catching it. And I'm like, well, was it a hater or was it maybe one of your customers? Like, I can't see myself, but maybe that's just me, all right? Because I am not looking for nothing for somebody that I don't like. Okay. I'm not. I'm just not. I'm not checking for it. I'm not thinking about it. It's not entering my thoughts because that's not productive for me. Okay, that's just me though. I would probably assume that it's probably a somebody that was going to make a purchase maybe, and then they discovered it. Okay, but I could be wrong. And she gets upset because she receives so much hate and she doesn't understand why people are trying to interfere with their marriage, businesses, and personal lives. Now, in terms of their marriage, I would have to say that I think a lot of this stems from season one, where it was the Holts versus the Scotts, and there was these allegations of infidelity. It feels like that's where it all started, but I could be wrong, right? And those played out on the show and on social media, and ever since then, there have been multiple instances and people talking about at these allegations over the course of time. Okay. I did feel bad for her because I do feel like she does get an unnecessary amount of vitriol online. I can understand if you don't like her as a character on the show, right? But I feel like the way people oftentimes go in on her, I just don't feel like it's necessarily warranted because at the end of the day, I'm like, well, I mean, it's a TV show. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, we might talk about something she said or did on the show and on social media if something was posted, but like beyond that, I just don't get into the. I don't. I guess I don't understand the reason for that much vitriol. Anyway, although she should have caught that website thing. The day of the barbecue event, Stormy gets dropped off by Courtney. Um, Kimmy and Maurice want to talk about it, but essentially, Stormy don't want to talk about Courtney while he's not there. Mel arrives in her "I'm What You Want" t-shirt. Nell, Chris Fletcher, Latisha, and Marsau, followed by Martell, all arrive, and Mel ignores Martell. Okay, they are all playing. It looks like they're playing spades. I don't play spades. I don't play spades. I don't play spades. I feel like people get very angry when they play spades. I feel like I don't understand like how you expect me to be reading people's minds and understanding what they're gonna do with their cards. It is just beyond me. I can't take it. They get angry. They start beating the table, and I'm just like, you know what? It would have been much more entertaining for me to just watch this than for me to experience it with you. So I don't do it. Anyway, Keke and her husband arrive, and Stormy asks if Tisha and Stormy asks if Tisha and Keke are good. Latisha is like, I'm good with everybody. But in her confessional, she doesn't understand why Keke is talking about her and her marriage. So Latisha does speak to Keke's husband, though, but literally ignores and walks away from Keke, who is then very annoyed and addresses the shade at the table. She sits right down at the table. At the table, it is Marsau on one side with Latisha on the other. Jalen is at the head of the table. Stormy is beside Jalen and next to Keke. Okay, so that's how the table is set up. All right. So, um, at this point, she sits down and she brings up the situation regarding the personal services personnel, aka sound effect, aka the person who we don't know. And she's going off about being blamed for things that other people have done. Okay. Anyway, on the other side of the table, because this is happening right there in front of them, Marsau and Latisha are ignoring her down. Okay. And so then Keke takes Stormy's cards because Stormy's still trying to pay attention to the game and throws them about the table so she can get Stormy's attention and apparently everybody else's. Okay, because so poor Jalen. Okay, poor Jalen. Justice for Jalen. Anyway, Stormy is like, well, maybe there's a table where y'all can go and talk. Keke's like, no. Okay, Keke's gonna tell everybody who will listen, Jalen included. Okay, that personal services personnel allegedly called her on the three-way with the guy Bob. She's asking Bob what's going on. Stormy's response is pretty much me. WTF? What is going on? Okay. Keke is relaying that Tisha didn't come to their meeting, but Keke was expected to call her and tell her what was going on. So she is getting more and more heated as Latisha continues to avoid her, okay, and ignore her. So Keke yelling and screaming on one side of the table. Marsau' and Keke and Latisha are still playing cards like ain't nothing happening, okay? Nothing's happening. I'm invisible. I'm invisible. I'm invisible. I'm invisible. And so at that point, Keke's like, I don't care. You want to be mad, scratch your behind. I don't care. And she take and flip a drink and it splash all the way down on Latisha's face. Okay, splash like Splash Mountain, like a waterfall. Don't go chasing waterfalls. I mean, it's like boom. I'm like, how much was in that glass? It looked like the cup. It looked like she took a hose at the woman, okay, and just threw it in her face. And shockingly, Latisha's just like, oh, 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 oh. But I can't tell you, I one time too also had somebody throw a drink at me. This was a very long time ago in the club. And I'm like, I didn't even do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I could tell you from that experience that when somebody throws a drink in your face, okay, if it's alcohol in it, it is going to burn your eyes, okay? And so then you are going to be left a little speechless. So if that doesn't explain to you why Latisha probably had a hard time like processing what was happening, there's the shock of the liquid hitting your facial. Then there's the possibility that it's also in your eyeballs. And so now you have to figure out what's happening, who did it, why it's occurring. And I guess at a certain point in time, Latisha, you might should have either addressed her or not, or left the table. All I know is I don't know what I would have done, okay, if I was Latisha. But I definitely commend her for taking very little action on camera, okay? Because that situation coulda, woulda, shoulda probably turned into a complete and utter brawl, at least from my perspective. Because like, how you gonna throw something in my face because you come in the door starting some mess with me and I don't want no parts of the mess, right? Um, but I mean, but for the viewer, I mean, we've got something to talk about. So Keke, I mean, yeah. But this also makes me wonder, like, because the next thing that happens is, Stormy get to running, okay, aka Kyle Richards, and she running out the scene. And so Marsau' is like, she got to go. He turned to the camera, breaking the fourth wall. And Latisha's in shock, like, why did you do that? So this will be on now? Yeah, like Melody Church said, I'm on what you want. And so anyway, Latisha is going inside to dry off with Marsau' getting up, and he tells Keke threw her drink at Latisha. At that point, Marsau' tells Kimmy to call the police and test this girl because for the stuff. Okay, test her for that stuff. Okay, Keke is screaming, "Do it!" Okay, and it looks like her husband is coming to her defense, and he looked like he ready to get the smack down with Marsau' because I feel like he been waiting for a long time to do it. Okay, he trying to get to Marsau' as the people are blocking him, and I don't know, Marsau'. I think he might have took you down that day. Okay, I don't know. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm going by the look of rage in his eyes. So we got to figure out a couple of things. Who called the folks on the Bet on Black event? Who is the personal services personnel people? Who is the web developer that probably should give Tisha her money back? Okay. We got so many questions. And so, and who is Bob? And why is he in the mix? Okay. These are questions I need to have answers to. So anyway, that is the tea for Love and Marriage Huntsville. This episode was a doozy, and based on the previews for next week, it's looking to be another doozy as well. With that being said, that's all we got for y'all, and I will catch you all in the next video. Also, be sure to check out Rocket Money and use the link in the description of this video so that you guys can download the app and use it as well. Okay? All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. So I'm Richie Skye, the author and publisher of The Wickedest Wives, Desiree's Desire, which is book 1 in a series. This book is about redemption. It's the story of a disgraced journalist who has lost everything. And now she has to rebuild her life brick by brick. And what better way to do that than to join a reality TV show? Why not? Now, not only are we talking reality TV, so you know there's gonna be scandal, you know there's gonna be a little bit of deception, backstabbing, a little romance, and why not throw in a sprinkle of murder to really round out the excitement? So I really want you guys to dive headfirst into these books. Desiree's Desire is just the first of many to come. So I'm super excited for you guys to read this, and I want to know exactly what you think. So be sure to follow, like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.